Hi everyone! Today we're going to be discussing my assessment of the CAPLTER bird abundance survey data and its relationship to tree cover in urban and rural spaces across the Phoenix area. Now, you might not have known, but North America is home to over 300 species of songbirds, and this mainly includes what are referred to as passerines, or perching birds. And some examples that are pretty well known throughout the state are the cactus wren, the northern cardinal, and the Gambel's quail. And soon we're going to be discussing warblers, which are a type of songbird that is really plentiful throughout our state and is known to inhabit urbanized areas under certain conditions. Now you may ask, why look into songbird abundance in urbanized areas? And to answer this, it's important to understand that we as humans have had a massive impact on bird populations across the globe. Many bird species are of conservation concern, meaning that we run the risk of losing our bird biodiversity if the root causes of their harm are not addressed. But besides this, there's some simpler reasons to study birds. For one, greater bird diversity has a positive impact on how we view our neighborhoods, and by extension, our day-to-day lives. And nature is therapeutic, it's comforting in many ways, and as you could probably imagine, those who enjoy seeing nature would probably be more satisfied being able to see species other than just rock pigeons all the time, and the typical urban adapted bird species. Another reason to study birds is because they provide us ecosystem services. Birds maintain insect populations, and they also fulfill many other roles in ecosystems beyond our direct benefit. So, going along with a One Health ideology, if our bird populations and biodiversity are in good condition, then we are apt to be in good condition compared to when these species are in decline. Now, before I get started, I just wanted to highlight this paper by Rosenberg et al. From 2019, The Decline of North American Avifauna. This paper dives into what class of birds are in the greatest decline right now due to factors like climate change, urbanization, agriculture, and industrialization mainly. And warblers are not grassland birds, which are the number one class of bird in decline, but they still are in decline with the rest of the bunch and deserve some studying and focus. Now, to get into this crosstown assessment, data from CAPLTER, aka the Central Arizona Phoenix Long-Term Ecological Research Database, was used for analysis of warbler abundance across 10 different neighborhoods of varying rural and urbanness, as well as different socioeconomic backgrounds. So birds were counted in 3 stations per neighborhood using the same general time period each year using point count surveys. And point count surveys are basically where you watch and listen for birds at a given location for a set period of time. And data from 2022 through 2024 during January and February were used. And it's kind of a slim period for bird studying, but unfortunately there was a gap in data for 2024, so that's how we just allocate. But the species of warblers seen the most were the yellow-rumped warbler, Audubon's warbler, and the orange crown warbler. So now we can get into the particulars of the interesting warblers of Phoenix. And to give some more context, warblers in the Parulidae family are small and highly arboreal birds that are typically situated in woody areas, like I said before. And they're found throughout the state, from stands of mesquite and riparian areas to higher elevation woodland forests. And considering their habitat needs and the fact that we can see them in urban spaces in the Phoenix area, data from CAP combined with metrics of tree and shrub cover can maybe give us a good idea, hopefully, of where these warblers can be and what tree cover percentages they might want the best. Now, to understand the tree cover in a given neighborhood, we're able to use a platform called iTree to tell us how tree-y an area is from satellite view. And using this information, we can take tree and shrub cover percentage and compare that to how many warblers are found in each neighborhood. And the neighborhoods all have a little bit different amounts of tree cover, so we can just arrange them from lowest to highest amount of coverage and go from there. So, going from there, a linear regression model was performed and actually reveals that there is no relationship between these two sources of data. So that means, for all intents and purposes, there is no relationship between these data collections of warbler abundance and tree cover. Now, the graph may look kind of deceiving, but that's why we run basic statistical tests to not be fooled by small sample sizes. So, judging by the fact that warblers are so heavily associated with trees, it can seem kind of odd to get this kind of result. But this still goes to show us how small sample sizes can really affect our perception. And I believe that if all 3 years of this database were assessed for warbler abundance every single month instead of just January and February, we'd probably have a much better idea and sample size to go from and just draw a better conclusion. And while this assessment essentially accepts a null hypothesis, we should still think about what we can do to conserve bird populations. For example, we can plant landscapes with native plants, trees that generate shade and canopy cover for birds, and even more xeric landscaping styles that can help bolster biodiversity, especially here in Phoenix. Compared to a lot of the US, the greater Phoenix area is rapidly expanding out into a bit of an urban sprawl. And that makes our individual actions to support biodiversity that much more important. Because we are inhabiting land that belonged to the warblers just 2 seconds ago. So think about it. And thanks for listening. Bye!